Breaking news. Turns out Dawn Wells is the name of the actress who played Marianne on Gilligan's Island. Alright guys, what's up? Today, I'm not going to throw a theory out there just yet, but been working on a little something, and hope you guys like it. Put a little effort into this, little thought, you know what I'm saying? You want to hear a joke I told Taylor? Gotta keep them edited for Taylor, because she damn sure gonna repeat it. Told her, I said, what do you get when you cross an elephant and a rhino? Elephino. Right? Joke's awesome. It's a dad joke, if you will. Anyway, I thought today what we would do is, a lot of people think that Summer's untimely disappearance could have been the result of an accident. I'm kind of 50-50. I think it could be possible. So, thinking about it, I decided to go ahead and make a list of pros, why I think it could be an accident, and cons, things I think that point away from the accident theory. And we're going to start out with the pros. And I tell you what, there's quite a list of pros. So, pro number one. The many dangerous things that went on around Summer, things that were around the property that could have led to an accident. A lot of different stuff, a lot of things that could have happened. And you know, that it's not like everybody doesn't have some things around that could lead to an accident. It's all on how you manage those things. It's called accident management. I don't know, I just made that up. But, you know, there's danger at every corner. You know, it's all about how you handle those things. First, you know, if we're going to talk about the accident theory, we got to talk about the possibility of the dry drowning. Now, it would have to be right at the top of everybody's lists on the accident side, because we know she was swimming that day. Well, a lot of people think that could have been old footage, whatever. If that's the case, TBI will figure that out fast. They've already figured that out. So we're just going to have to go with what we've been told, okay? So we know where they were swimming. Now, Hunter says Summer went under the water. He says, you know, it was brief, nothing huge. When he pulled her up, she seemed fine and she was laughing. And I kind of believe him there. My thing is, though, Candace is just 100% nothing like that ever happened. And, you know, with a kid swimming, I think it's just as likely that could have happened as it's not. So I'm kind of up in the air about what I think. But we know she was in the water, so it's a possibility, right? Now even Candace admits they were swimming that day. So you add in kind of the twisted tea, the medications Grandis had just picked up from the ER, and you never know what everybody's state of mind was, you know, especially if somebody had some twisted tea and some medication, because, you know, alcohol intensifies the effects. Then when you're going toward the accident theory, you got the last picture. Now, that picture's suspicious. Tons of people I've seen go over that picture with a fine-tooth comb. They say things about her fingernails look off, things about her lips. There's a spot on her shirt, all that stuff. And I really feel like if that is the case, that there's something wrong right there in that picture, I feel like it was a good chance it was an accident of something that happened at the lake. Allie's statement about not being allowed near Summer. How much do we believe Allie? Not a lot, but it just piles on to the other things that kind of think maybe it was an accident. If what she's saying is true, it would make sense that there was an accident and she didn't want to let Allie get close enough to Summer to realize what was going on. The odd choice of outfits. Seemed like an awful warm day for all those long sleeve clothes and things to that effect. So does the choice of outfits point toward an accident also? Could be. Very well could be. All right, now let's look outside of the swimming hole. Let's look at closer to home. Plenty of accidents could have happened around there because we know that place is a danger zone at best. The staircase could be lethal. I've never seen something built like that, and I've definitely never seen something that steep that wasn't a ladder. I don't know why you even call it a staircase. To me, it looks like a ladder. You know, it could be very easy to fall from that and hurt yourself. Dawn's mowing practices, you know. She just used to chase that lawnmower and she'd keep right up with me. Man, he is so oblivious to how dangerous that is when he tells this story, that he's like bragging about how fast she was behind the lawnmower while he was mowing. That's what really makes me think there could have been an accident, because they are oblivious that things like this are dangerous. You know? A lot of this you can say is a little nitpicky, but to me, following the lawnmower while he's mowing and running and stuff, that's a no-brainer. I think 90+% of people would agree you should not have your 5-year-old daughter around the lawnmower while you're mowing. I think it's pretty much common sense. The dirt bikes. She just chased them dirt bikes. She'd keep up with them. Well, that's not a great thing, you know. Especially who have you got operating the dirt bikes? It's not like it's grown men and, you know, they're all over the brake situation. You got little boys riding the dirt bikes. If that was me, once again, she wouldn't be near them while they're on their motorcycles, dirt bikes. You know, it's just not safe. It's that simple. Another one that I think a lot of us see as a no-brainer, but they brag about it and think it's just great. She can keep up with them dirt bikes. It's not a great thing. You know, a lot of people think, could it have been she accidentally ingested something? Well, we know there was medication available that day from Grandis's ER visit, and that could have been at home that she ingested that, and who knows? You know, I'm not a huge believer in that theory, because I know how people that do those things are, and I think they're going to be kind of safe with them, unless, like people have pointed out, they got to the point where they were so out of it, then they wasn't paying attention to what was going on, which is a possibility. I don't know. I think that seems like one of the less likelier accidents, but definitely still a possibility. You know, just the alcohol and drug use, and we know that was going on. You know, that's how deep we don't, but you know, I'm suspecting if they're constantly on lives now, drinking and what seems like under the influence of other things, it was probably happening then too, you know? So that really raises the chances of an accident happening when the people supposed to be doing the watching are the people doing the partying instead. The refrigerator. That was another one of them things. Dawn's out there, she liked to do this, and just pounding on the refrigerator with a stick. Well, I've got news for you. Refrigerators are dangerous. Anybody could get trapped in one. It's real easy to do. It's happened many a times. You shouldn't have that on your property, and if you do, you should at least take the door off. So that can't happen. And I would think the way refrigerators seal up, it would not take long to suffocate if you accidentally got locked into said refrigerator. The swing. I'm not knocking the swing. When I was a little younger gentleman, I did some swinging myself, and probably just as dangerous circumstances she was in. But could have something happened? Yeah, of course. Of course it could have. Could have. I've thought about this too. As little as Summer was, man, that puts her open to more dangers and like things that could happen to somebody that was bigger could have had a more serious impact on somebody as small as her because she was little, and I mean that as far as the accidents goes, that being little could have led to a bunch of things. Like maybe she was standing behind the truck and they didn't see her and they hit her with the truck. Maybe she got into some space that you would even consider dangerous, but where she was so little she could fit in there and that happened. Something to that effect. Just like could have gotten to the refrigerator. Could have been a lot of little crevices she accidentally got into and something bad resulted from that. And Candace's parenting style. I think that is one of the, if not the biggest reason that it could have been an accident, because I'm not even going to play like she was extremely observing. You've seen her sleeping in church. You can't tell me a woman that's going to sleep and let her daughter run around during church services is going to be hyper vigilant when it's just them at home. I don't believe that. I don't think anybody that's really has an open mind on the subject really does believe that. So those are pretty much all the pros for why it could have been an accident, and we'll do the cons. Comes to the cons of why it wasn't an accident. Well, I think a lot of times you got to take the person's word who was there. Candace says absolutely no way, no how. She don't even admit Summer went under the water at the lake. 0 chance it was an accident. It's got to, you got to put a little bit of belief in something, She's saying it's not an accident, so it would definitely rank as a con against it being an accident. Now, do I believe her? I don't know. I think it'd be a horrible decision to keep this going if it was an accident, because the longer it goes, the less and less likely you're ever going to convince somebody that it was an accident if it actually was. So by continuing the charade, if it was an accident, you're really setting yourself up for failure. Another one, a con against an accident. It'd be really hard to cover up an accident if you think about it, because an accident is just something that happens out of nowhere and you're not prepared for what has happened, Now, a lot of people seem to think it could have happened way earlier that day or even days before. But we can't weigh everything into this, or we're not going to figure nothing out. We're going to assume it happened around the time that she was reported as missing. So If that's the case, it's really going to be hard for them to have covered that up that fast this well, because we're looking over 6 months now. If it was an accident, you got to have cooperation, because there was at least anywhere between H. Grandis around, H. Grandis and Candace, to Grandis, Candace, and the boys, if we go with what we've been told. So, for none of the boys nor H to have cracked by now, if they knew it was an accident, I think the longer this goes on, the more unlikely it is. But like I said too, when we talk about this stuff, we don't know exactly what the boys could have said. We have heard H. He's never said there was an accident that resulted in, something happening in the summer. He has, brought up that she went underwater thing. And I want everybody to understand, dry drowning is not common. I think a lot of people think now that this is something that happens a lot, and it's not. But it is possible. It's definitely worth a thought. And this is another con I have against accidents. I think if it was an accident, by now, Dawn would know that. I really do. Now, I'm not saying there's no chance he wouldn't know it by now, but I think there's a good chance he would. Candace drinks. When people drink, they let stuff slip. I really think there's a good chance he would have figured it out. And my thing is, I don't think Dawn's going down for somebody else. I don't care, his wife, anybody. Because if it was an accident and he wasn't there, by covering it up and everything else, he's going to get taken down with the rest of them. So he doesn't seem like the kind of guy to me that's going to go to jail for somebody else or put his neck out for somebody else. Could I be wrong? Possibly. But for me, if it was an accident, I almost think Dawn has to know by now. And I get the feeling Dawn really doesn't think it was an accident. Or he knows better. All I'm basically saying with this is, I don't think Dawn would have covered it up an accident, knowing how big the situation's getting now. I feel like if it was an accident, the TBI would have figured it out by now. Between people knowing, evidence left behind, it's so hard to hide her somewhere and not have her found by now. All this together, if it was an accident, like I said, if it's an accident, you don't have a bunch of pre-planning and, stuff like that. It's something you have to start reacting to immediately and have to start making really smart decisions to keep your butt from getting found out. So I have a really hard time thinking that it was an accident and it's went on this long. Because even people that commit crimes, when it's premeditated, when they've planned things out, very, very hard not to get caught. So to be able to cover it up with no prior premeditation of what's happened just seems so unlikely. Especially for, like I said, for this amount of time, man. To be covering up an accident for 6 months and staying ahead of everybody, it would be really unlikely in my book. And to not have found some trace of her by now, it seems hard. But, a lot of the things we've heard about the police letting Dawn go look at question drug dealers and stuff like that, there could have been opportunities for things to have been done after the police were involved. And that's what makes me wonder about, could it have been an accident? And, they've been working on the fly to cover it up. And last but not least, in the pros and cons of accidents, is Dawn and Candace's history. They have gotten arrested a lot. So that means that there's been a lot of stuff that they have done that they haven't gotten away with. So to think all of a sudden they're criminal masterminds and have been pulling this for 6+ months seems unlikely. Possible? Yes. Or likely? Not so much. But I think there's a lot of chance it could have been an accident still. In my mind, I think this originally could have been an accident. I think the accident definitely seems more likely than some of the other options we have. And I'm going to try to go through a couple of the other ones too. I thought this would be a good place to start because there's a lot of people that think it could have been the accident. So my take is I feel like it could have been an accident, but I really think it would have been hard for them to still be covering it up. Tell me what you think. Let me know. We'll see you next time. Hey, and some of y'all see tonight. Filming this before the big live, the very first live. See you tonight, guys. Well, you probably won't see this before the live, so I don't guess that was really smart to do that, but I'll holler at you later.